This shouldn't be happening, not in today's NBA. We are watching a league built on data, built on schemes, built on anticipation. Every move is tracked, every tendency is mapped, every weakness is hunted. And yet, none of it seems to matter right now. Because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing something that doesn't make sense. Defenders know where he wants to go, they know the spots, they know the pace, they know the angles, and they still can't stop him. That's the contradiction. In the 2026 playoffs, in the most prepared environment basketball has ever seen, one player is making elite defenses look late. Not wrong, just late, and that's worse. Because if a defense is wrong, you fix it. You adjust, you correct the coverage, but if you're always late, what exactly are you supposed to change? This is not a hot streak. It doesn't look like one. It doesn't feel like one. There's no chaos in it. No randomness, no lucky shots bouncing his way. It's controlled, it's repeatable, it's quiet, and that might be the scariest part. Because when something looks this simple, this calm, this inevitable, it usually means the league hasn't caught up yet. So here's the real question. If everyone knows what he's doing, why does it keep working? And more importantly, what are we actually watching right now? Because this might not just be a playoff run, this might be something bigger. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. So let's slow this down because what looks like scoring is actually control. And once that clicks, everything changes. Right now, Oklahoma City Thunder aren't just winning possessions, they're dictating them. And it starts with him. Watch a single possession. He brings the ball up. No rush, no panic. Defender already set. Help defense already shaded. Everything looks normal. Then one hesitation. That's it. Not a move, not a burst, just a pause. And suddenly the defender shifts just a step. Just enough. Now the angle is gone. Now the help is late. Now the possession is over. 2 points again and again and again. This is what dominance looks like when it's not loud. He's not overwhelming defenders with speed. He's not jumping over them. He's not launching from 30 feet. He's walking them into mistakes. That's different because athletic dominance fades, shooting streaks cool off, systems break under pressure, but decision control, that travels. And you see it in the numbers, efficiency and isolation, clutch scoring, free throw rate, shot quality, it all points to the same thing. This is not randomness, this is structure. Game after game, possession after possession, he is creating the exact same outcome. Not similar, the same. Defender commits, he counters, bucket. And when teams try to adjust, it doesn't get better. It gets worse. You send help, he waits, you stay home, he attacks, you go under. He rises, you go over, he slips through. Every option feels like the wrong one because it is. And that's where the control becomes obvious. He's not reacting to the defense. The defense is reacting to him. That's the shift. That's when a scorer becomes something else. Because now it's not about making shots. It's about deciding what happens before the shot even exists. Think about that. The possession is being decided before the move is made, before the help rotates, before the contest. That's why it feels so easy. Because by the time the shot happens, it's already over. And you can see it in how defenders move. They're not aggressive, they're cautious, they're waiting, but waiting is exactly what he wants. Because hesitation is where he lives, that small window where a defender is unsure. That's where the game breaks, and he hits it every time. So when people say he's dominating, they're not even fully describing it. This isn't domination through force, it's domination through control, through timing, through patience, and that's a problem the league isn't built to solve quickly. Because you can scheme against speed, you can game plan against shooting, but how do you game plan against someone who controls your decisions? That's the real problem, and it's getting worse because now it's not just working, it's repeating. Game after game, series after series, the same reads, the same outcomes, the same helpless reactions. And if you're a defender, at some point you start to feel it. That moment when you realize there's nothing you can do differently. And that's where frustration starts. That's where hesitation grows. And hesitation is exactly what he needs. So now the question changes. It's not how do you stop him? It's can you even speed him up? Because if you can't, then you're already playing his game. And that means you've already lost. If you're seeing this too, if you're starting to feel how controlled this really is, stay with me. Because what looks simple on the surface is actually hiding the biggest problem in the NBA right now, and it's only getting worse. So what happens when teams actually try to fix this? Why do every adjustment keep failing? And how does something this predictable become completely unstoppable? So teams tried to fix it. Of course they did. You don't watch a player do this and just accept it. You throw everything at him, you change coverages, you change matchups, you change the entire defensive identity if you have to. And that's exactly what's happening right now, and it's not working. Let's start with the most obvious answer. Double him. Get the ball out of his hands, force someone else to beat you. That's the rule, that's been the rule for years, but here's the problem. When you send that second defender at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you're already late. Because he's not attacking immediately, He's waiting, that hesitation again. He sees the help coming before it fully commits, just enough to freeze it, just enough to stretch the defense one more step. Now the passing lane opens, not wide, not obvious, just enough, and that's all he needs. Now it's a kick out. Rotation scramble, close out, one more pass, wide open shot, so doubling doesn't stop him. It accelerates the collapse. All right, then stay home. No help, no rotation. Trust your defender. That sounds good until you realize what that actually means. You're asking one defender to guard him in space. No safety net, no margin for error, and that defender already knows what's coming. The hesitation, the shift, the late reaction, now it's one step behind. One angle lost, one contest that arrives too late. Mid-range bucket again. So you don't double, you don't stay home. You try to force direction, push him left, shade him right, cut off the driving lane. That's basic, that's fundamental, and it still doesn't matter because he's not committing early. He lets the defender show their hand first. If you overplay one side, he counters. If you stay balanced, he probes. If you reach, he draws contact. Every option leads to the same place. A bad defensive outcome, and now you start seeing it. Not just in the scheme, in the body language. Defenders aren't confident anymore. They're thinking, and thinking is slow. You see the extra step, the delayed reaction. The half-second pause, that's all it takes. That's the entire possession, and it spreads. Because once the first defender's compromised, the rest of the defense has to react. Late, always late. Now rotations start collapsing, corner gets exposed. Paint opens up, everything breaks at once, and you can feel the frustration building. Not just one player, entire teams, because this isn't one mistake. It's systemic. Every solution creates a new problem. Every adjustment leads to a worse outcome. So now the real question hits. If doubling fails, if isolation defense fails, if forcing direction fails, what's left? What do you actually do? And this is where it gets uncomfortable because the answer might be nothing. And you can see it in how possessions are ending. Not with a big move, not with a highlight, but with something simple. A pause, a step, a soft pull up, and the defender is right there. Close, contesting, but still losing. That's the part that doesn't make sense at first. Until you realize something, the move isn't what beats the defender. The decision is. And that changes everything because now you're not dealing with a skill problem. You're dealing with a timing problem, and timing is harder to fix because you can't coach reaction speed in the middle of a playoff series. You can't rewire instinct overnight, so defenses keep trying, they keep switching, they keep adjusting, and nothing sticks because they're solving the wrong problem. They're looking at the move, the crossover, the drive, the pull up, but that's not where the advantage is created. It's created before that, in that tiny window where the defender has to decide. Go or stay, commit or wait, and that's exactly where he traps them. Every single time. So now let's flip it. What if everything we're focusing on, what if this isn't about scoring moves at all? What if the real weapon isn't speed or skill? Because once you start looking at it that way, you stop watching the shot, you start watching the defender, and what you see is unsettling. They're always reacting. Never initiating, always guessing, never certain, and that's not defense, that's survival. So here's the twist. The league isn't failing to stop him because he's too skilled. They're failing because they're being forced into bad decisions before the play even develops, before the move even happens. And once that starts, and he's controlling them, all of them, that's the hidden layer. That's the part nobody's really talking about. And once you see it, so now I want to ask you this. Are we watching a scorer dominate? And if it's the second one, what does that mean for the future of offense? Tell me what you're seeing because this changes how we look at everything. Now take that idea and push it forward. If this is really about control, about forcing defenders into decisions they don't want to make, then the question isn't whether it works. It's how far it goes because we've seen great scorers before. We've seen elite isolation players. We've seen guards who could take over games, even series. But this feels different because it doesn't rely on difficulty. It removes it. And that's why it keeps showing up. Game after game, series after series, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is producing the same outcomes. Not similar, the same. Late defender, controlled pace, clean look. And when you zoom out, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. This isn't a peak, it's a system. Look at the consistency. Not just points, but how they come. He's not taking more risks late in games. He's not forcing shots under pressure. If anything, it gets calmer, slower, more precise, because by that point, the defense is already worn down. Not physically, mentally, they've gone through every adjustment, every coverage, every idea, and none of it worked. So now they hesitate, and hesitation is where everything breaks. That's the proof, not a single play, not a highlight, but the repetition of the same advantage over and over. Now compare that to other elite scorers. Some rely on explosion, some rely on shot making at extreme difficulty, some rely on offensive systems creating space for them. This is none of that. This is self-generated control. No rush, no panic, no wasted motion, and that's what makes it scalable. Because nothing here depends on timing being perfect for one night. It creates perfect timing every night, and that's where the inevitability hits. Because if you can create the same advantage on demand, only adjustments that delay it for a possession, maybe two, but not a game, not a series, and definitely not a playoff run. So what does the league do with that? Because this is where it gets uncomfortable. You can't double him consistently. You can't guard him one-on-one consistently. You can't speed him up, and you can't outweight him. So what's left? Hope that's not a strategy, and you can feel it shifting already. Defenders aren't trying to stop him clean anymore. They're trying to survive the possession, limit the damage, force anything that isn't perfect, but he doesn't need perfect. He creates enough every time, and that's why this isn't slowing down. It's spreading, because once something like this proves it works at the highest level, the league notices. Players study it, coaches adapt to it, young guards start building their games around it. Now, it's not just one problem, it's a blueprint, and that's when things really change. Because now you're not just dealing with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you're dealing with what comes after him. More players controlling pace like this, more players forcing defenders into bad decisions instead of beating them with speed, more offenses built on patience instead of chaos. That's a shift, a real one, and it doesn't reverse easily. Which brings us back to the original question. Why does the NBA have no answer for him right now? Because they're trying to stop the result. Instead of understanding the cause, they're reacting to the move instead of controlling the decision. And until that changes, nothing changes. So now think about what happens next. If this continues, if this control holds, if the league can't disrupt the timing, where does this go? Because at some point, this stops being about a playoff run and starts becoming something else, a new standard, a new way to dominate, a new way to win. And that's where the legacy conversation begins. Not with rings, not with awards, but with impact. Because the players who change how the game is played, they don't just win, they reshape everything around them. So the question isn't if he's great. We're past that. The question is how far this goes, how long before the league catches up, and what happens if they don't. Because if this really is the beginning of something bigger, then we're not just watching dominance. We're watching the early stages of something the NBA might not be ready for. And if that's true, you're going to want to see what happens next. So what do you think? Is this just a moment? Or are we watching the start of something the league can't stop? Subscribe if you want to follow where this goes, because this story, it's not finished yet.